Welcome to Film Recaps, the channel dedicated to bringing you the highlights of your favorite movies. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below if you'd like us to keep creating these videos. The film opens in a college classroom where author/professor Thelonious Monk Ellison is giving a lecture over the reading of a written work called The Accidental Anne. One of the students, a young white woman, objects to the title being written on the board for all to see, despite Monk, a black man, saying he sees nothing wrong with it. This is brought to his superiors, who say that other students have expressed discomfort over the reading he chose, so they give him mandatory time off. A little while later, Monk goes back to his hometown of Boston and speaks to his agent Arthur, who informs Monk that 9 publishers have passed on his latest book. Monk then attends a book festival as a guest panelist before being told about another acclaimed author, Tara Golden, who is having a panel of her own. He sits in and listens to Tara give a reading from her book, We's Lives in the Ghetto. Despite having prominent black stereotypes in the writing, the book is a critically acclaimed bestseller. Monk later goes to see his sister Lisa at the hospital where she works as a doctor. They go to visit their mother Agnes, whose health is withering and lives with her housekeeper Lorraine. Monk and Lisa have dinner while Agnes is in the bathroom, where they talk about their other sibling Cliff, who ditched the family due to his sour relationship with his parents. Monk was close to their father, who committed suicide years earlier and was said to have had an affair with a white woman. The next day, Monk goes to a bookstore and is annoyed to find his books in the African American Studies section. He goes to put them in a different section before Lisa stops him. They go out for lunch and are chatting when she suddenly suffers a heart attack. Monk takes Lisa to the hospital, but she passes away. Cliff returns to join his brother and mother outside their father's beach house to scatter Lisa's ashes after delivering a eulogy. A neighbor tries to bother them for not having a permit, but Cliff scares him off. Monk and Cliff bond over wine, the latter having recently gone through a divorce because his wife found out he was gay after catching him with another man, so he now turns to sex and drugs. The brothers then see water dripping from upstairs, and Monk goes to find Agnes in the bathroom sitting with a vacant expression while she leaves the bath water running. Monk later meets a neighbor to the beach house, Coraline. After accidentally making an insensitive comment regarding Mr. Ellison's suicide, unaware that Monk was his son, she invites Monk inside for some wine. Monk meets a man living with Coraline, revealed to be her soon-to-be ex-husband. Coraline later invites Monk to go for a drink after telling him she has enjoyed some of his written works. After taking Agnes to the doctor and learning she is in the early stages of Alzheimer's, Monk starts to write a new book after seeing more praise directed towards Tara. He starts to write something called My Pathology, before retitling it My Pathology and making it a more ghetto-themed gangster story, imagined with 2 main characters, Willie the Walker and Van Gogh Jenkins. Monk also writes it under the pseudonym Stagg R of Leigh. He sends the manuscript to Arthur, who says he cannot send it out for publishing, but Monk argues that it is the exact type of black stuff that the publishers wanted from him. Monk starts a relationship with Coraline but has to start making arrangements to move Agnes out of her home since Lisa had been paying for the bills before she died. Monk then goes to meet with Arthur, who says that they managed to sell preemptive rights to My Pathology to a publisher, Paula Baderman, who has usually turned down Monk's work for $750,000. Monk and Arthur call Paula and try to make a deal, with Monk pretending to be Stagg and affect a gangster demeanor. Later, Monk has dinner with Agnes, Lorraine, and Coraline. When he and Coraline start to get intimate later, they hear Lorraine calling out because Agnes has gone missing. They run around the beach until Monk finds her walking toward the water. He then starts to make arrangements to move Agnes into hospice care. Arthur gets Monk a meeting with a movie producer named Wiley to adapt My Pathology into a film. He goes in character as Stagg to convince Wiley he is the real deal until he sees an ambulance out the window right by the hospice center where Agnes is being kept, so Monk runs out on the meeting, only to find that Agnes is fine and the ambulance was for someone else. Arthur later tells Monk that this convinced Wiley that he is the real deal since he thought Stagg ran out after hearing police sirens. Monk also later gets a call from someone inviting him to be a judge for the upcoming literary awards, alongside Sintera, which he agrees to even though he knows they are just diversity picks. Monk and Arthur later speak to Paula again, along with an associate of hers, John Bosco. They claim to love my pathology, but their choice of words comes off as condescending to Monk, so he tells them that he wants to change the book's title simply to Fuck. While baffled at first, the publishers agree to it, to the surprise of both Monk and Arthur. While on a date with Coraline, Monk finds Cliff swimming in his pool outside. Although he tries to get Cliff out, he pulls Monk into the pool. The two bond with Coraline before going the next morning to visit Agnes. Monk is told that she had to be restrained for almost striking a nurse. Cliff tries to dance with Agnes to make her feel better, but the moment is ruined by her crudely telling Cliff, "I always knew you were queer." He leaves disappointed and angry before telling Coraline that their family will break her heart. Fuck gets published and becomes a #1 bestseller. Monk promotes the book as Stagg. This leads to the FBI trying to investigate who Stagg might be, though Arthur tells Monk not to worry about that. Later, during dinner with Coraline, he finds a copy of Fuck that someone gave her. She says she likes it, though he doesn't tell her that he is Stagg, instead criticizing his own work for being stereotypical. Coraline kicks Monk out of her house as a result of his behavior. Monk helps Lorraine move things out of Agnes's house as Lorraine prepares for her wedding to family friend Maynard. On the day of the wedding, Monk and Agnes go back to her house to find Cliff there with two men, as he never went back home as was originally believed. Lorraine still invites Cliff to the wedding, and Monk walks her down the aisle. During the reception, Monk and Cliff talk about their father's suicide, and Cliff encourages Monk to patch things up with Coraline. Monk later joins Sintera and other authors picked to be judges for the literary awards, with Fuck having been submitted for consideration. While the other three white judges praise Fuck, Sintera calls it pandering. Monk later privately talks to her, arguing that her book also panders to the white community as trauma-porn, though she turns it into an argument against black women and says it isn't her fault if white people ate up what she wrote. Despite their votes against it, Fuck ends up being picked as the winner. Monk prepares for the upcoming awards ceremony, and he tries to invite Coraline to be his date, but she never responds to him. Before going to the ceremony, Monk visits Agnes one more time and talks about his father's affair, which she knew about. He is left disappointed when she refers to him as Cliff while talking to him. At the ceremony, Fuck wins the literary award. Monk starts to go up to the stage, seemingly preparing to reveal himself as Stagg. The scene then cuts to Monk meeting with Wiley on the set of his blaxploitation film Plantation Annihilation, and the scene of Monk accepting the award was just an ending he pitched to Wiley. He doesn't really like it, so Monk pitches another ending where Stagg leaves to reconcile with Coraline. Wiley isn't feeling that one either, so Monk goes with an over-the-top ending where Stagg goes to accept the award, only for police to raid the ceremony and gun him down on stage. Wiley loves the ending and accepts it. A jaded Monk then leaves the studio with Cliff driving him home.